Clinical trials have demonstrated certain natural substances can be very effective at slowing or preventing viral transmission. Okay? We'll talk about those. And here is the data that came out last night, so I haven't had a lot of time to look at it, but let's just focus on California. Okay, you've heard about how epidemic H1N1 is, but when they actually look at 13,700 people who submitted specimens. So these are people who are bad enough that they had to get specimens from them. You know, if I catch the flu or something and I'm sitting at home, you know, and it's not really major, I'm not going to go in and get a specimen taken, right? So these are the bad ones, most likely. So only 2% of those bad ones were the H1N1 in California. 2%. Okay, that's one of your vaccinations. Other flu, and that's not only the ones that you're being vaccinated for, but that's other strains that may not even be in the vaccine. That's 12%. So a total of 14% are even potentially susceptible to the vaccine. 86% are negative for the flu. What does that mean? They're caused by some other thing. You know, even with all of our knowledge in conventional research and medicine on viruses and microorganisms, we still know very little about them. We still don't know all these things that are going around. We know that they're not necessarily a flu virus, but what actual virus they are or what actual organism they are, we may not know. But that's 86% of your serious cases of the flu. And this is why natural medicine is saying, look, we're barking up the wrong tree. Because 86% of our risk is not coming from something we can do vaccination for prevention. That's why we have to really optimize our immune system. And they're not exclusive. You can get vaccinated and you can do the other preventative measures. But you just need to weigh the vaccinations, as we said before, to your own circumstances and to what the data is that is presented to us by these various sources. Okay. So natural strategies for prevention and treatment of H1N1. And even though it's 2%, that's what everybody's concerned about, so we're focusing on H1N1. There are a lot more things that affect other flu viruses and things in natural treatments that we're not going to talk as much about. But some of these, fortunately, with herbs are very broad spectrum. Because interestingly with herbs is if you think about plants, right? Plants, I've always been fascinated with plant immune systems because, animals, we can kind of, somebody's coughing, we can walk the other way, something comes at us, we can kind of, do something. Plants, they have to just sit there and take it. Whatever it is that comes at them, they got to create a chemical to kill it or they die. So when we're using plants, we get a lot of really interesting chemicals. And so really they're broad spectrum. It's not like a plant's going to say, okay, I'm only going to protect myself from H1N1, right? The plant has to manufacture chemicals that work against a wide variety of different organisms that it encounters in the environment. And this is one of the reasons why, in our practice, we're always telling our patients, okay, you should be eating locally, local grown food. You should be, when possible, we'll get herbs locally. Honey, if you take honey, propolis, these kind of things. You should get local sources when you can, except under certain conditions. Why? Because your local food is exposed to all of the organisms that the local people are exposed
to. So it's reflective of our micro
Exactly.
Our environment here. So
exactly. So eating locally isn't just to be crunchy and all that. It's really beneficial for your health. Okay. So what affects immune status? First, easy, sleep, diet, stress, antibiotic use, other lifestyle issues. We'll go into these one at a time. That's why I'll breeze through that.
You can't really sleep.
Okay.
A baby.
That's a baby sleeping. So, all right.
Our baby's sleeping.
Our baby's sleeping, apparently, since we have a lot of our baby pictures. Sleep deprivation depletes the immune system. Okay, these are study-driven. Okay, they reduce natural killer cell activity, which, by the way, also is involved in cancer prevention. They may increase hay fever and sinus allergies in terms of sleep deprivation, meaning that your immune system is now reacting to things that it shouldn't be, so it's not exactly as on as we would like it to be, so to speak. Diet. What are our standard American diet and lifestyle doing to us? They deprive us of basic nutritional building blocks of immunity. They lead to poor absorption of nutrients necessary for immune function. Okay, So essentially, if we're not eating nutritious foods, then our bodies don't have the chemicals that they need to manufacture all of the immune defense systems. So our immunity gets weaker. It's very simple. But the second is the absorption of nutrients. Well, again with that, but, here it is. But also, if we're eating inflammatory foods, for example, things that we're reacting to, or things that are weird proteins that we're not used to, some of the genetically modified proteins potentially and so forth, it's increasing inflammatory responses, and inflammation is the immune system. That is an immune response. It's made to get rid of things, to trap things, to kill things, and that is your immune system. So whenever you're getting, I'm
So
sorry.
yeah, basically you're preoccupying your immune system and depleting all, like you said, its resources.
Exactly. So then,
So then it's not online to do what you need to do.
Exactly. So then you're focusing your immune energetics in your gut, trying to deal with these food issues, when then your exterior suffers. Because there's a pie, there's a limited pie. There's no such thing as unlimited immune energy, okay? So we have to see how we're dishing this out. Cell phones. Are we talking about cell phones? Oh, stress. Okay, stress. Long-term stress increases cortisol levels, suppressing immune response. Okay, so cortisol is, you guys have heard of cortisone, the steroids. When you hear people using steroids, these are different forms of cortisol, and they're used to get rid of inflammation, which again is your immune response. So when you're taking steroids, you're even taking some normal anti-inflammatories like fish oils, for example, that can reduce inflammation. That's not necessarily something you're going to want to take during a flu epidemic, because you need your immune system to be really top-notch. So, but an interesting note, short-term stress actually short-term increase in cortisol levels will actually boost up your immune system. So if you're kind of relaxed most of the time and then, oh gee, the flu's coming around and you get a little bit stressed short-term, that will actually increase your immune activity. But if you're like, oh, I'm stressed out all the time and work at home and
Yeah, it's a chronic adaptation response.
Exactly. So then your immune system gets knocked down. It also depletes mitochondrial activity, depriving the immune system of energy. So mitochondria are your little energy factories in your cells. They're the ones you remember from high school biology. They require oxygen to produce energy, right? Well, if you're stressed out all the time, you've got to support all that stress. Your body's interpreting it as running away from the tiger or whatever they say, So it takes a lot of energy to do that. Your body gears up and produces a lot of energy, but that depletes your stores again. So then when you need that energy, it's not necessarily there. Sleep. Melatonin is increased with sleep, and that can enhance immune activity. So getting enough sleep is very replenishing for the immune system. It also increases serotonin. Increasing that during the daytime can increase melatonin. So you can eat some precursors to serotonin, like organic turkey or something like that. Relaxing in low light in the evening and avoiding unnecessary stimulation can also improve melatonin levels. Melatonin is also, as Steve would tell you, very anti-cancerous substance. So a lot more benefits from sleep just in the immune system, but we're just focusing on,
it's a
flu.
potent antioxidant, and has a lot of anti-cancer properties.
So sleep-deprived rats had a 20% decrease in white cell count. Okay, so that's pretty significant. Knocks your white cells, which are your immune cells, down by 20%. Okay, just say no. I guess this is TV at night, or you can TiVo. We have stuff for that back there, by the way. Diet and lifestyle. Avoid excessive stimulants and alcohol. Avoid stressful activity.